Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. We're gonna talk about Warner Media, DC Comics, Warner Games, and how AT&T is gonna shed a few pounds. They're gonna sell off their games division. And if you think DC Comics is safe, I've got some news for you. I don't think they are, because the fact that they're selling off their profitable games division means that they're probably looking at cutting some other corners, and we're going to talk about that. So I think this video is going to be kind of a general DC Comics, Warner Media video, and I have to bring this up. Some very sad news. Legendary Batman writer Denny O'Neil did pass away this week. This is really sad. Denny O'Neil was hugely instrumental in forming the modern version of Batman. He's done a lot of things behind the scenes in comics over the years, and he passed away at the age of 81. And I do remember Denny O'Neil being kind of the writer's writer, the editor's editor at DC Comics. Everybody respected his opinion. Most people respected his opinion. They should respect his opinions on writing and creating stories. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he also is the one who came up with the name for Optimus Prime. That was his contribution to Transformers over at Marvel. So R.I.P. Denny O'Neil. Wouldn't feel right talking about DC Comics without mentioning that. So AT&T is going to sell off Warner Gaming. Could fetch about $4 billion. Sources say $4 billion. That's how much Disney paid for all of Star Wars. That's how much Disney paid for Marvel. I mean, that's a lot of money. Well, what does Warner have? Well, they've got all of the old Midway stuff, Mortal Kombat, and they've got Scribblenauts and some other stuff. I don't know exactly why anybody would pay $4 billion for Warner, but this is the thing. AT&T is looking to drop some weight because they have to divest assets. We're going to talk about some companies that may be on the chopping block, and I think DC Comics as a comic book publisher absolutely is, and they're getting ready to have this great conjunction. All these business units are going to combine. So AT&T could sell Warner Brothers games to Electronic Arts or Activision for $4 billion. At that point, I mean, we're looking at EA and Activision being kind of the Marvel and DC of gaming, aren't we? Like, they're going to be the big two because they own everything. Because Activision and Blizzard merged, and we've got Electronic Arts, and then we've got a whole bunch of indie developers. So EA, Activision, Blizzard, or Take-Two could buy the rights to Batman, DC, Mortal Kombat, and Harry Potter. Okay, so Geeky and I were talking about this, and this is kind of what Disney did too. Disney decided they did not want to make video games. It was easier for them to just license out the IP, so they shut down LucasArts. They shut down Disney Interactive, which actually was profitable. And part of that included shutting down Disney Infinity, which was actually profitable. It just wasn't profitable enough. And when you're dealing with these mega corporations, you know, the justification is always, this or that is profitable. Well, the thing is they have to look at it in terms of hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars. Is it profitable enough? If you've got a division that's only making maybe $1 million or $2 million a year in profit, and if you chop some heads, and then you can have this other business division make, $50 million a year in profit, you're going to do that. And that's what's going on here. So AT&T wants to sell its WB Games division in a massive deal that could be worth $4 billion, sources told CNBC. AT&T's management may no longer be willing to fund huge multi-million-dollar games projects and is trying to find a buyer for its massive Warner Brothers games division. It's not that Warner Brothers games aren't profitable. Mortal Kombat 11 was the best-selling game in April 2019 in the US and has been on the top 10 list. The WB game sell-off may happen due to a divestiture when a company sells a subsidiary. A bit ago, Elliott Management laid a huge $2.3 billion stake in AT&T and called for the company to sell off non-vital assets like DirecTV. WB Games may also be seen as a non-vital asset. Another non-vital asset is a comic book publishing company. Some of gaming's biggest publishers want to buy WB Games. Activision-Blizzard, Take-Two Interactive, and EA are all interested in grabbing the division, and for good reason. WB Games has ownership of some of the biggest IPs in the industry. They own Batman and all of DC Comics, Harry Potter, including the Wizards Unite mobile game, and of course, Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat 11, despite the criticism, still does good. It still sells. Actually, I have a copy of it for Switch. Geeky bought me a copy for Switch for Christmas, and it's still in the shrink wrap. I haven't had time to play it. I do have a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade machine, though, sitting here in the studio, which is kind of cool. I've played it like 3 times. I haven't had time. Any publisher would be lucky to grab these IPs and their established studios, and trust me, any single one of these companies would jump at the chance for a buyout. They said that they're working on an unannounced Batman game from WB Montreal and a new Harry Potter RPG. I have to wonder if the Harry Potter stuff is going to be sidelined because of J.K. Rowling's Twitter cancellation. I have to wonder about that. But yeah, that's it. It's profitable. The games division's profitable. It's just not profitable enough. So they have almost $200 billion in debt. Scribblenauts is another game that they own. The Lego games, the Lego movie IP. I mean, there's a lot here, but $4 billion, that seems awfully high. Now, there's a lot going on with Warner Media right now, and then we'll talk about how this is going to affect DC Comics, because I think DC Comics is in the end game right now. They absolutely are, and all the screeching from people in the comic book industry about DC leaving them high and dry, I don't think it's their decision. I think this is the last-ditch effort to try to turn a profit to justify their existence. Again, when you've got your highly profitable game division being sold off because they have to consolidate debt, comics are nothing. HBO is getting rid of the HBO Go app, and we're going to talk about the DC Universe thing too. HBO is getting rid of the HBO Go app, so we had HBO Go, which is for people who paid to watch HBO online, but now we have HBO Max, which makes Go kind of pointless. So they're getting rid of that. They're consolidating all of these apps. Now, the problem I have with this, as much as I like HBO Max, and I'm not just saying that because it sends a box of stuff, I actually really do like the service. They're not on Roku, they're not on Fire TV. That's a huge fail for me. I can't believe that they would launch without having that locked down, because you're talking the vast majority of people who watch streaming TV are going to watch on Roku or Fire TV, and the fact they did not do that is a huge, huge tactical error. I can't believe that they did it, but they did it. But they're getting rid of the HBO Go app, and now it's just going to be HBO, I guess. I don't know. They said on Friday they're going to retire the HBO Go app as of July 31st, and the HBO Now app will stay the same, except the app will simply be named HBO. I have no idea. But in regards to DC, this is what we've speculated for a while was probably gonna happen. DC has its own streaming app. Well, that could be getting gone soon too, because DC Daily is canceled. It's canceled. DC Universe platform, what's the point? Why have all these platforms? And we're seeing people jump ship from Rooster Teeth left and right. Rooster Teeth, Bernie Burns left. I mean, almost all of the old guard are leaving Rooster Teeth. And again, everything we've heard is that AT&T is putting everything into the HBO Max app, even though it's not on Roku or Fire TV. Again, massive, massive fail. But they're supposedly putting all their eggs into that basket, and they're not going to have umpteen different streaming services. So DC Universe, as a separate service, is probably coming to an end too. This is coming from The Beat. DC Daily cancellation stirs doubt for DC Universe platform future. Again, things we've been telling you guys. We've been telling you guys this for at least a year, 2 years, that, it's very possible that Rooster Teeth as a separate entity is going to get gone, that all of these other streaming services, including at some point maybe even Crunchyroll, are going to get gone and rolled into HBO Max, and AT&T is going to focus on that one streaming platform. That's going to be their Netflix. That's going to be their flagship. Netflix does not have multiple Netflix apps. They have Netflix and Netflix Kids, and that's it. They don't have 20 different apps. They focus on the one thing and drive people to that. It's been nearly 2 years since details for the DC Universe streaming platform were unveiled, long before the announcement of HBO Max Despite assurances to DC Universe that the platform was still going strong back in October, the future of the DC platform remained in doubt. Today, another blow was dealt when Collider confirmed the cancellation of the DC Daily web series on DC Universe. Below is a statement provided by a DC Universe spokesperson, also shared on the DC Universe community. After more than 400 episodes, DC Daily will air its final broadcast on July 3rd. This year has brought more challenges than the show could overcome. We thank all the fans and talent and hosts for bringing the show to life. It's been a fun ride. To overcome the production obstacles created by the current pandemic, the DC Daily cast has been recording episodes from the safety of their homes through video chat. Everybody's doing this. Even the talk shows are doing this. One of the program's hosts, Clark Wolf, took to Twitter to express her feelings regarding the news. Clark Wolf says, DC Daily was a dream job. I cannot stress enough that this show's cast and crew have become like family to me. I'm so proud of what we were able to accomplish as fans of the DC brand. The good news is we still have a bunch more episodes to go. Our series finale will air on 7/3. Updated, Hector Navarro tweeted about the cancellation. I want to echo everything Clark said because it's true. The entire cast and crew on this show are the best, and I've been so proud of everything we've been able to do. I want to thank fans for all the kind words and watching. Yada, yada, yada. They're going to get rid of it. They're going to get rid of DC Universe. Why? You've got DC as a tab on HBO Max. So let's go back out to DC Comics. Now, I did watch a video by your boy Zach, who was talking about Eric Stevenson, images Eric Stevenson having a meltdown about DC being selfish and DC hurting the comic book industry and all of this other stuff. Here's the thing. AT&T doesn't give a shit. DC Comics doesn't give a shit. Why does everybody keep assuming the world revolves around comic books? Because that's what you see from your vantage point in Portland is comics 24/7. That's all you're thinking about is the comic book industry. And you don't fully understand how small the comic book industry is to these mega, media companies, and always has been, really. But at this point, it's do or die. I mean, the theaters have been shut down for months. In Disney's case, they have no theme park revenue coming in. They're going to cut corners, and comics is such an easy cut, especially with Diamond fucking up the way they did and just shutting everything down and leaving comic shops high and dry. I mean, why would Warner Media allow DC Comics to exist the way it's existing if they can't sell comics? They wouldn't. So DC's got to do what they got to do. Eric Stevenson goes on to talk about how the folks at DC don't understand business. They do. They do understand business. DC fully understands business, and they know that if they don't make revenue, they have to distribute their comics or they're done. They are done. I think they're done anyway. I think at this point, they're just buying time. Because, again, if AT&T will sell off their very profitable games division, they will have no problem whatsoever licensing these comics out to the highest bidder, because they would save so much money on office space. They'd save so much money on salaries. They don't have to deal with the headaches of distribution. Any blowback from idiotic freelancers, that's on whoever picks up the DC Comics license, the DC superhero license. Image Comics publisher Eric Stevenson has responded to DC's moves to cut ties with Diamond, calling it a hasty, sociopathic decision made by people who do not care about the long-term welfare of our marketplace, let alone comics. No shit, Sherlock. And you think complaining about it is going to change their mind. Actually, I guarantee you AT&T is watching this whole situation with the comic book industry melting down and being like, they're making it easier every day to pull the plug. There's literally no reason to keep doing this, because these people are not going to, we cannot keep pouring money into DC Comics because it's not going to get better. We'll just publish what we got or republish what we got. We'll keep things going as best as we can, and then we'll just license the characters out. Ethan Van Sciver's been talking about for a while. He worked for DC for a number of years. I believe him. I absolutely believe him, because we're seeing all of this, other proof that Warner Media has no sacred cows. And I don't know why comic book people think they're immune to this, because we've always had monthly comics. So we're always going to have monthly comics? That doesn't make any sense. It's like saying we've always had horses and buggies. Well, we have technically, and we still do. You can still hitch a ride on an Amish horse and buggy. Doesn't mean that it's a viable mode of transportation in 2020 for most people, but they still exist. And here's what's going to happen. It's going to be a domino effect. If you know, Warner Media pulls a plug on DC Comics as a publisher, again, everybody's like, that means there won't be any more DC Comics. I mean, no. They'll just license the characters out. Disney will do the same thing. Disney will follow suit. If they see Warner Media doing it, they'll do it with Marvel too. Because at this point, you're talking to somebody who worked on Disney Comics for a number of years. Everything Disney does, they license out in terms, you know, in regards to their comic books. Their Mickey Mouse comics, their Disney Fairies comics, you know, comics for other, like the Disney XD shows and Jetix shows. They used to license all that stuff out. Marvel comics are the only comics they did not license out, and they were trying to experiment with IDW to see if they could get away with it. But IDW is a shit show right now too. You know, so, but I guarantee it, with Disney hurting as much as they are, Marvel Comics doesn't make sense either. And what's going to happen is the big two are going to pull out. They're going to pull out. And then at that point, it's just a bunch of independent publishers. And we're literally talking, you know, probably half as many comic shops as we had before the pandemic. This whole thing is going to collapse. Now, there are still going to be comic books. And there are still going to be comic books that sell very well. It's just going to be done a different way. So I think Eric Stevenson is speaking from a place of fear, because he's been in the industry a long time and he knows damn well what is going to happen if DC and Marvel decide to pull out. Because they have to. That is it. That's probably the end of Image. Companies like Image and IDW, they're basically hangers-on to the big two. Comic shops order their Marvel and DC books, and then they also order some Image books, and they also order some IDW books, etc. Then you've got other companies like Dark Horse that were smart enough to diversify, and they get into other stuff like game art books and that sort of thing that sells really well in the book market, and manga and all of that. But it's I don't think Image and IDW are going to survive, you know, much longer, especially if Marvel and DC pull out. So I'm going to wrap this one up. We're going to keep an eye on this. Again, we're seeing all of this kind of converge now, and Rooster Teeth, I expect to hear an announcement pretty soon that they're going to be absorbed into Cartoon Network, because now you got Bernie Burns leaving too. You got lots of people leaving. There's all kinds of backlash because of Mika Burton coming out and saying, hey, the company is kind of trash to work for. And again, that puts a big target on them. When you're a bean counter at Warner, you're going to look for these kinds of things and be like, what can we cut? Oh, Rooster Teeth. Yep, your turn. It's game over. And yeah, selling off the games division, that is a big one. So we're going to wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.